Tim. Welcome to Watch You Want, and thanks for logging on. Today we're looking at the Jaeger-LeCoultre Master Compressor Geographic, 41.5 millimeters in polished stainless steel. You can see this Master Compressor Geographic on our website, watchyouwant.com. Purchase it if you like, and if you enjoy these videos, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Watch You Want Inc. You can see on my wrist 6 1/3 inches, 16 centimeters in circumference. This is the perfect blend of size and proportion. The watch is not excessively hefty, but it does have a satisfying premium weight to it. It's not excessively large, but at 50.5 millimeters lug to lug with 14 millimeters of thickness, it's got enough presence that it doesn't appear dwarfed by any wrist, even a large one. At the same time, it does wear well on a smaller wrist. Now, in terms of dress cuff compatibility and long sleeves, this is a true two-way player. Very versatile with this gorgeous double contrasting stitch bolstered alligator strap. The combination of black dial and white metal means that you can wear this with almost anything, and you can see that the watch is not too thick. The step of the bezel is only about 12 millimeters above the skin itself, and because it has a conical sloped bezel, it's easy to get a dress cuff over and above this. It's important to note that this case, which is known as the 146 case, was used on everything from the Master Memovox to the Master Compressor Geographic you see here, right up to the Grand Memovox, a $92,000 platinum watch, and even the JLC Master Tourbillon. So the basic style was designed out of the gate to be compatible with rugged use as well as formal attire, and this Master Geographic does a great job of squaring the circle and suiting both occasions. Now you can also see that JLC uses a very high quality, lightly bolstered and contrasting stitched alligator strap here, but it tapers off nicely as it moves away from the lug, so you get that underside wrist flexibility that you need to contour to a smaller wrist. I'll give you a better profile shot here just so you can see how it actually spans a smaller wrist. That's probably the best distance shot I can give you, and then a direct overhead shot will likewise show that it does take up a lot of space on the wrist, but it doesn't overwhelm. This is an awesome stance for a sports watch. Now the Clasp is JLC's second generation deployant. The first generation deployant was used on watches in the 90s, like the 60th anniversary Reverso, the rose gold complicated Reversos that followed that, the first and second generation Master Geographic watches, and it was phased out in the 2000s in favor of this example. Beautifully polished, beautifully finished. It's a little bit tougher, that is sturdier in its construction than the double deployant that came after. The double deployant might be a little more compatible with a smaller wrist, but this single deployant is definitely beefier. It's also more nuanced in detail and better finished than the first generation. So this is a nice one to get on a sports watch that might see, shall we say, ungentle use. But it is the dial and it is the geographic complication that define this watch, in conjunction with the compressor crowns, and I'm going to get to each one in turn. First and foremost, let's start on the outside and work our way in. The compressor crowns were introduced at the tail end of 2002 on the original Master Compressor Memovox. Let me try to get the glare out of the picture here. But the compressor crowns are both visually distinctive and functionally excellent. What they do is they compress a toroidal seal, basically a rubber donut. They don't thread through it so much as they just move up and down within their threaded sleeve with that seal wrapped around them. So turning the crown doesn't actually wear the seal underneath, and compressing the compressor crown likewise just moves the seal up and down, compressing and decompressing, not physically wearing it at its center. So for the longevity of the water resistance, it's an excellent design. It's also an ergonomic triumph because with only a half turn, you get 100 meters, that is 330 feet of water resistance, and you can do it when your hands are wet, gloved, or sweaty. It's also color-coded. Red you're dead, and of course, white you're tight, so you can't accidentally throw this thing into the pool or plunge it into the cooler full of beer and not notice that your watch is actually unlocked. Unlike a screw-down crown, there's no subtlety here. Red you're dead, and you can't miss it. So user-friendly, practical. It's also remarkably distinctive. When you're looking at a Master Compressor watch, you know you're looking at a JLC because no one else uses anything like it. And because of JLC's patents, no one else can. The dial is an awesome combination of the 1968 Polaris diving alarm. You can see it in the shape of the indices, in the font of the numerals, the general layout, the general proportions, the light on black backdrop. This is very much what the Polaris looked like in '68, and that's a classic JLC reference. But the Master Compressor Geographic adds plenty of original content. First, in the Geographic complication. Introduced in 1990, it's neither a dual time nor a world timer, but it includes the best elements of both with user friendliness that is second to none. And finally, being that it is a master compressor, it also adds some new elements such as these burly trapeze style hands, abundantly loomed. This watch is completely visible at night, so the practicality in no light or low light is excellent. So these multiple threads of JLC history ultimately culminate in a sports watch that's also the ideal traveler's watch, and I'm going to show you how this works. Now, the geographic function, like a world timer, features a chapter ring, this one partially obscured, that includes 24 reference cities. Each one represents one of the 24 principal time zones of the globe. Now you can see I'm in Miami, so I have it set to New York. You can see right here in Miami, it's approaching 30 minutes after 1 o'clock. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how the geographic feature works first. So let's say I'm going to be traveling and I'm going to change my reference city to LA. I'm going to be going to LA. I want to know what time it is before I arrive. Well, I can move the reference time to Los Angeles, and you'll see the second subdial automatically adjusts to let me know what time it is in LA. You'll notice that the AM/PM indicator jumped to AM because it isn't noon in LA just yet today. So I have the instant ability to reference any of these time zones without really having to do any mental math. All I need to do is know a reference city, and I can instantly see it on the reference subdial. Now what I also have is the ability to independently adjust that reference subdial, so it's not as though the watch is locked in sync. I can independently change the reference time, and of course I have the local time at center. The local time is keyed to the radial date that you see here at 3 o'clock, and the radial date is the only element here that's adjusted with a pusher. There is a pusher at center that changes the radial date indication. So this is the best of both worlds. I've got the convenience of a world timer, but I have the concrete second time display with a full dial, the ease of reading that comes with a dual time watch. The world timers can be a bit bewildering when you start wheeling the watch around on your wrist trying to figure out what time it is, aligning cities with reference hours. I find that this is better, and this complication is uniquely JLC, a great heritage item for them. Another feature that's part of JLC's heritage is manufacture movements and cases. They design the watch, they build the case, and they build the movement inside. And this one, featuring the classic 2000s and 90s rose gold master control medallion on the case back, is a caliber 929/3 bidirectional automatic winding with a 40-hour power reserve, dual time, AM/PM indication, the unique quasi-world time geographic function, the radial date. This is an outstanding, very fine, and very accurate movement. Its hallmarks are precision and its thin, fine construction. It's less than 5 millimeters thick. For comparison, a simple Rolex hours, minutes, and seconds with jump date, the 3135, an automatic caliber that just gives you those basic indications, that's over 6 millimeters thick. JLC pulls off all of this in less than 5. And superbly accurate. It features vetting via the Master Control 1000 hours test. Since 1992, it's been expanded across the entire JLC lineup except the caliber 101 micro movement. It includes a fully cased up timing test, power reserve, anti-magnetism, shock resistance, water resistance. It's a total test of the integrity of your timepiece and the movement inside. And it was one of the first really rigorous in-house alternatives to COSC, generally brought about the modern revolution in in-house standards, and it remains one of the most rigorous and telling in the industry. This is an outstanding example of a complication, 293 parts, 36 joules, that's nevertheless everyday durable and almost chronometer precise. In fact, this watch is keeping chronometer time on our timing machine. An outstanding modern classic. These master compressor watches from the 2000s already have a following and recognized collector interest. I say buy them now while they're relatively affordable. Buy them, enjoy them. Don't look at it as investment, but look at it as something kind of like a collector car. You'll always be welcome at the drive together with the car club. You're always going to be welcome on a JLC forum with one of these things or at a Red Bar event. These are beloved watches, and more so every day. I can even say that in the early 2000s, when I saw one of these in a Tourneau, feeling this watch, the quality of it in the hand, the smoothness of operating that geographic complication, This was the gateway drug that got me personally hooked on JLC, and I am immensely fond of it for that reason. Start a tradition of your own with this Jaeger-LeCoultre Master Compressor Geographic on our website, whatyouwant.com.